Welcome to this week's edition of Psalm and Prayer. For our time together, we're going to explore a psalm that we actually utilized in last Sunday's worship. While we have been scattered and dispersed in our homes and our home worship, I've been incorporating psalms as our call to worship, as the thing that brings us into the center of God as we try to center ourselves into the sanctuary of our homes. And so last week's psalm was on Psalm 100. For today's Psalm and Prayer, what we're going to do is read that Lectio Divina. And we've done that a few times in the last several months. And this is a way in which we read the scripture 3 times. The first time, just let it wash over you. Let it come to you. Let words that sparkle or dazzle or stick out for you, hold on to those. And then we'll go through different kinds of readings. The second reading, we'll go through it again, but with the lens of that word that drew you, that drew out to you in that first reading. And the third time, we'll hear it again with not just looking at the lens and those words and how might we hear it anew. So Psalm 100 is a psalm of thanksgiving, and it's a psalm of thanksgiving not just meant for the individual, but actually for the whole community. And so it reminds us of the steadfastness of God's promise and love for us. And we might falter and we might shake, but God's love and God's grace is always steadfast. Even in the midst of these uncertain and chaotic times, we can trust that God's love is steadfast nonetheless. So we're going to read it one time. It's a very short psalm, just 5 simple verses. And listen to words that might speak to you, might call your attention, perhaps even closing your eyes this first time as you hear it read. Let us listen. A psalm of thanksgiving. Make a joyful noise, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come into his presence with singing. Know that the Lord is God. It is God who made us, and we are his. We are his people and the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him. Bless his name. For the Lord is good. His steadfast love endures forever, and his faithfulness to all generations. What words stood out for you, sparkled, dazzled, came into your heart? Can you name it? Good. For me, what comes to mind is a sense of gladness. I like that part. Praise. Joyful noise. That we are God's and God is ours. Those are some phrases that really stuck out for me. Now that one phrase or two that had come to mind, now I want that to be the lens in which you hear this psalm read one more time. So hold that as your spectacle, as your glasses, if you will, so that you can hear this psalm again and maybe drawing out some new meaning. Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come into his presence with singing. Know that the Lord is God. It is he who made us, and we are his. We are his people and the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him. Bless his name. For the Lord is good. His steadfast love endures forever, and his faithfulness to all generations. How did that psalm sound this time? Anything new? Anything different? I'm still drawing into that center of it, like we are God's and God is ours. I always say to my congregation to remember who you are and to whom you belong. God's beloved. I hear that in this psalm, don't you? Okay, we're going to read it a third time. So that image that's coming to mind, maybe some new understanding that developed for you in these 2 readings, I want you to bring all of that to bear as we read one more time for the third time. And maybe some new insight or understanding will come to us. Let's listen. Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come into his presence with singing. Know that the Lord is God. It is he that made us, and we are his. We are his people and the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving. Give thanks to him. Bless his name. For the Lord is good. His steadfast love endures forever, and his faithfulness to all generations. I hope that this psalm came to you in a new and surprising way, especially as it calls all of us, wherever we are, to find our praise, to find our singing, to rest in that knowledge that we belong to God and God belongs to us, and we have been made into this family of humanity. There's a lot going on right now. There's a lot of uncertainty still. There is unrest and questions and cries out for justice. How can we be thankful in the midst of all of these things? So take some breaths this week. Find yourself in nature, perhaps. Enjoy the beauty of creation, and to find some time to give thanks and praise, even in the midst of all that is going on. Go in that grace and love. Go in knowing that you are beloved and you are God's beloved and God is your God. Go wrapped in the peace and understanding that comes with the Spirit too. Until next time, we'll see you soon.